Welcome to Coffee with Chaos. That means tonight is Wednesday night and it's 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time on July 9th. Going to be an interesting program, but before I do that, let me introduce a few things. This is my coffee. And this is the more organized part of my chaos. It gets a lot worse, believe me. And someday maybe I'll show you some of that. Just take some pictures and show them. Someday, not today. So what are we going to do tonight? We're going to talk about First Comics, but I'm not going to talk about those until more towards the end of the video or the stream. I don't have anything new this week. I didn't go out and buy anything. Matter of fact, I spent a couple of days just in flood prevention, getting stuff up off the floor and making sure that if the water came in, it wasn't going to ruin anything that I consider valuable. So that took up a couple of days, which actually put a crunch on the items that I was pressing. But I did manage to get all of the ones that I showed last week pressed, and I will show those. I also have another box of stuff that that I forgot I had. No, I knew I had some of what was in this box, but a couple of things surprised me, and I just went, wow, I didn't know I had that. I did go through the box real quick just to see if there was anything I didn't want to show. And the first box I pulled out, the whole box was stuff I don't want to show because I'd probably get booted off the air. But this box I have to show tonight is pretty good. And then I've got another stack of comics that I'm going to be cleaning and pressing, and I'll show you those. I'm not showing all of the comics that I clean and press anymore, just a portion of them. I'll clean, I've got like 9 or 10 tonight that I did, but I do anywhere from 15 to 21, sometimes 25 a week. So yeah, I'm not showing everything, but I am showing some stuff, which is kind of cool. We like that. So that's going to be it, and I do have some notes concerning First Comics because I can't remember everything, so there's my page of notes. Front and back. So ought to have some interesting stuff for you, and that's going to be all about, should we be collecting First Comics? And we'll get in, like I said, we'll get into that. Right now, let's go ahead and show these. Now, these were the comics that I showed last week. And I said that I was going to press them, and I did. And we're going to start with this first one, Cerebus number 23. If you remember, this had some water damage, and it was kind of wrinkly. But as you can see, it isn't anymore. Looks pretty good now. Not the river by me got to flood stage and then started going back down. So I was kind of lucky, but we're due for some more rain pretty quick here. Of course, a lot of the country is getting floods. New Mexico is flooded. Pennsylvania is getting flooded. So yeah, we've got some serious rainfall coming in the U.S. right now. Kenneth Bird, glad to see you. I miss Virginia. I grew up there. I was there until I was 22 years old. So I kind of miss that. But, it's a beautiful state, but I can't afford to live there. Coach, glad you could stop in. And the night of storms here in PA. Yeah, basement is wet. Get the stuff out of the basement, man. That's not fun. But they're talking about some serious flooding in Pennsylvania tonight, especially in the western portions of Pennsylvania, I think, more than the eastern. So, yeah, of course, that goes without saying, but I'm talking about from an investment point of view. And I'm not saying you should rush out and buy something because you'll make a fortune. I'm just saying you might increase your money a little bit over time as people discover them. Anyway, there was service, and this is number 23. And as you can see, it turned out really nice. Still using that same method. This is from 1980. And even though I don't have the first 21 or 20 issues of service, I've started reading them. They're really, really good. So never checked out service. It's something to think about. And you can get reprints of the first 20, so that's not a big deal. Next was Just Married, number 77. And this one had a tear from here all the way down to here. And I didn't use any type of, I didn't use Dingujo paper or mulberry paper or tape. I just used a little bit of that, what I do with it, of the nori paste, because the pages themselves that were overlapped, so it was easy. And then I glued them back together, and it turned out pretty nice, I think. I think if I get close enough, you can see the tear. But it turned out pretty nice, and it's nice and flat. It's from 1971 from Charlton Comics. Then from 1966, we've got Life with Archie, number 45. And this one, again, it turned out nice. This one, I believe I had to reinforce the spine and reattach the cover. And I wasn't paying attention. I ended up with a watermark here. I'm not going to worry about it. It's going in my collection. I don't plan on selling it. And I believe I got that one from Michael Mayron. Next up, we have Mighty Samson, number 15 from 1968. This one was not that bad, but a press made it even better. So it did need to be cleaned. I didn't show you that last week. I'm going to show you on the ones that I show you tonight. I will show you what parts need to be cleaned. Then next week, I'll actually show you that they were cleaned. We've got Creatures on the Loose number 20 from 1972. Part of my ongoing showing all of my Creatures on the Loose as I press them, and the Tower of Shadows that preceded them. This one has a chip out of the corner up here. I have another 20 that's in the press right now. Whichever one is the better condition, that's the one I'm going to keep. I don't know which one it is. We've got Sad Sack Laugh Special, number 71 from 1957. Interesting thing that I'll get into when I show you that other. I have another one of these in this stack. I'll show you some things about them that you have to be careful about when cleaning. It wasn't that bad, but it did need to be cleaned, so now it's a whole lot better. Spanner's Galaxy, number 4, another one that was really badly water wrinkled. As you can see, it's nice and flat now. Came out really nice. It does have a few spine stress marks there. Yeah, I love Creatures on the Loose. It's such a good title, and they had different things in it. I don't have the Man-Wolf one, so I need to get those. Yeah, I thought I got that one from you too, and I have another one that I'm going to be working on that doesn't need much help. This is from 1985, issue number 4. Turned out really nice. I'm really happy with the way these water damaged and water wrinkled comics are turning out. This is Warp number 4. This is, this title will get mentioned later on. This is from First Comics. Frank Bruner cover don't think he did the interior art. I might be wrong on that. It's from 1983. So it's, I mean, Frank Bruner. You got to love Frank Bruner. He's a great artist. And of course, he did Warlock also. And then finally, the Golden Bird, number 530. And I didn't mark this one down as to, I think this one was from 1969. It'd be 530-576. And like I said, I think it's from 1969. I just forgot to write it on the back here. And this is also the 651st comic that I have pressed this year. So, quite a few of them. So let's take a look at what I'm going to be on another batch that I'm going to be doing. And I will also go back and I'm trying to clean up that space again. I have to take everything off of that table so I can work on that Lois Lane comic some more. Yeah, I do a lot of pressing, and not all of them are for my own collection. Some of them I press and plan to sell. Some of them I press for other people. If you're interested in me pressing a comic for you, then hit me up on Instagram. That's or on my my email address. I'll put it out there eventually today. So the first thing we're going to work on, or I'm going to do, is this Cerebus number 25. Already read this one. It was pretty good. As you can see, it does have some water damage to it. Needs a little help. I already cleaned the back because I need to put this one in my humidity chamber tonight. So, yeah. This is Love and Romance number 22. I think I got this one from Michael also. Yeah, I get a lot of comics from Michael. I went ahead and cleaned it up a little bit, not too much. Got those white marks off of it by buffing it out with a cotton round. You people don't know what I'm talking about when I say white marks, but I have a feeling Michael knows. I think he knows what I'm talking about. Next, this one I haven't worked on yet. It's Betty and Me, and it does have, it's hard for you to see, but it does have a little bit of soiling on the back, on that white part of it. The front isn't too bad. Actually, a year ago, I wouldn't even think about cleaning it. But since I'm going to press it, I don't press a comic unless it's clean. I'm not going to say I clean every comic I press, but I clean the vast majority of them. And sometimes that cleaning is just taking a cotton round and go like this. Sometimes that's all it needs. Anyway, Jungle Twins, Tono and Kono. I think this is issue number 3. I'm not sure. No, this is number 1. And it needs a little work on the back cover. And it wouldn't hurt to do a little bit on the front cover. It doesn't need a whole lot. Another Creatures on the Loose. This is number 21. Again, it definitely needs some work on that back cover. Has a lot of grime on it. No, those white marks was from somebody cleaning it and not, or doing a damp cleaning and not doing it properly. When you damp clean a comic, you want just a little tiny bit of water or soap on it. Now we've got Laugh Special. Now this is a square bound book, and as you can see, the staples go through the book this way. So when these are cleaned, if you happen to decide you want to clean one, take yourself a like a backing board and put it in, and make sure that it covers the staples, so that when you're cleaning it, you're not going to get that little staple mark. You're not going to get ink removal because the staple lifts higher. And you do that with both the front and on the back. Now, if you look carefully here, you can see where there's dirt. Maybe you can see it, maybe not. Okay, the staple is right there, and you can see a dark line, and that's dirt, and that'll come out. But if you leave the staple in there, it's not going to help. But if you stick the backing board all the way in, you can clean it, and it won't leave that mark. And then when you press it, you have a backing board in front and a backing board in the back, and you won't have to worry about that staple pressing through. I've seen that happen to so many people when they're pressing their comics. It's not funny, but yeah, I'm showing you with a Sad Sack Laugh Special, and you people are probably thinking that's not worth anything. Actually, it's worth about $10. But the point is, you can do this with the old Marvel comics. You can do it with the old DC comics, the Super Spectaculars, anything like that. You can do that. You can use that method for cleaning them, and you won't have to worry about those staples coming through the cover. Pretty important stuff, in my opinion. Next, I think I got this one from Michael also. This is a Detective Comics number 552. It does have a fold up here that's got a tear. Now, I don't know if I'm going to fix that or just press it. I think I'm just going to press it flat and leave the tear there. On the back, a little bit of grime, not real bad, but I'm still going to work on it. And I'm going to show you the front and back of all of these next week after they've been pressed. Another Warp Graphics, our Warp comic from First that has Frank Werner art. And as you can see, this has dirt all along the spine. And that's, white covers are notorious. They get dirty real quick. The back cover is not too bad. I'll have to clean this part, and maybe I'll do a damp cleaning on the rest of it. Well, I know where I got those water damaged books that I've been showing, the Spanner's Galaxy and the Cerebus. I got that from a local guy that I buy comics off of, and they were in the last couple of batches I bought. So that's where I got those. But I do have a few water damaged ones that I got from you. I just haven't gotten to them yet. Finally, we've got this is from 1969. So this would be number 532, 576, The Dancing Princess, Classics Illustrated Junior. And it's got that browning. I'm real tempted to take the cover off and give it a soak and see if I can get, and then maybe put some methyl cellulose over it to resize the paper. This is a kind of a cardstock paper, so it's not that big a deal, but it would make it look a whole lot better. And as you can see, the brown is on the inside as well. So I might do that with this, or I might do it with another one to experiment with it. I haven't decided yet. Leave a comment if you want. If you want me to go ahead and take the cover off of this and see if I can get most of that brown out or some of that brown out, leave a comment for that. And those are the ones that I'm going to do. Going to do one more though. I just don't have it here. It's in the other room now. I'm going to do one of the Captain Marvel comics. Actually, I'm already doing one. Going to do that tomorrow morning, but I will be doing the other Captain Marvel Adventures comic, and I'll add that into this bunch, and I'll do a before and after real quick so that I can just add it as a video. So that's what I'm going to press next. It's not, well, yeah, actually it is literally next, but it's not everything I'll press next week. I'll be pressing a lot more than that. And should have some more comics coming in from somebody that I pressed for on us. I pressed before I finished his first batch. I sent him out. He's really happy with it. He's putting another batch together. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Oh, yeah. There was a water damage comic that I got from Michael that had another comic stuck to it, and I managed to get the other comic off of it completely, and you can't even tell that it was on there. I do remember that one. I can't remember what it is, but I remember doing it because I looked at it and I went, "What the heck is this?" And used a cotton bud. This is a medical supply cotton bud, and I buy them in hundreds. I don't remember where. I will put that on a future video that I'm working on for additional tools of the trade, and I'll also include a place where you can get it. So let's go to this box here that I have. These aren't comics. Well, they are, but they aren't because they're all magazine size. And we're going to go through this whole box, which ought to be interesting because most of them are Marvel. This is Marvel graphic novel number 3, Dreadstar, by Jim Starlin. And of course, Dreadstar started in Marvel Comics, Marvel Epic Comics for 26 issues. And then they went to a different comic company because Jim Starlin owns a character. Wonder what comic company they went to. Oh, yeah, it was First. Yeah, I'll show you issue 28 later on. This is Marvel graphic novel, looks like number 17. Hard to read it. Khazar, Guns of the Savage Land. These have been in these bags for a very long time, as you can tell by the backing boards. I got to order more bags and boards for these. We have Marvel graphic novel, Silver Surfer Homecoming. Marvel graphic novel number 5, God Loves, Man Kills, X-Men. Howard the Duck, number 8. Howard the Duck, number 9. Marvel graphic novel number 14, Swords of the Swashbuckler. And again, very old backing boards. I think I put these in backing boards in either the late 80s or early 90s. That's how long these have been in these bags. Marvel graphic novel number 6, Starjammers. Or no, Star Slammers. And this one has a little water stain on it that I never noticed before. Marvel graphic number 7, Killraven. Marvel graphic novel number 8, Super Boxers. There's number 10, Heartburst. I believe I sold a copy of this a while back, or I offered it up for sale. I don't know if anybody bought it or not. I don't remember. Patrick, always a pleasure to see you, buddy. We got Marvel graphic novel number 11, Void Indigo. And it's a wraparound cover. Wouldn't want to deprive you of that back cover portion of it. Howard the Duck number 3. Howard the Duck number 4. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I've only had it for 40 years. So how am I going? When am I going to find time to read it? Howard the Duck number 5, The Undead Duck. Howard the Duck number 6. I have a few Howard the Duck comics or magazines. Howard the Duck number 7. I might offer one up for sale. You never know. Not enough drugs. Number 8, Howard the Duck number 8. Again, I might offer one up for sale. Here's another number 3, so I'll probably offer one of those up for sale at some point. Or I'll just put them on eBay. You guys can go to my eBay store and look at it and say, hey, I want that. And then contact me and we can discuss it. It's always best if you buy it off eBay, supposedly. But if you make me an offer on it, I'll pull it down and sell it to you. Because if I take it off eBay, it's no longer part of their thing. You don't have to worry about it. Howard the Duck number 2. Bizarre Adventures number 32. I love this cover so much. Bizarre Adventures number 31. Bizarre Adventures 30. But if you contact me, make sure you contact me on Instagram or through my email address. Because if you contact me through eBay, I won't do anything for you. Bizarre Adventures number 29. Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man. Bizarre Adventures number 28. Bizarre Adventures number 27. Secret Lives of the X-Men. A Marvel Super Special Magazine. Number 16. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Another super special. This is number 13, Warriors of the Shadow Realm. Marvel Super Special number 20, Dragon Slayer. I'm going to put these all in order after this stream is over, by the way, because this is driving me crazy. They're all over the place. Marvel Super Special number 28, Crawl. Yeah, I'll agree with that. But I like all of them, so I like the magazine size stuff. That's why I generally don't get rid of it. Conan Saga number 13. Makes me wonder where the rest of my Conan Saga are. One of these days, I'm going to run across a box or two of Conan magazines. Bizarre Adventures number 26. This is one of those covers that's just awesome. Call the Barbarian. Bizarre Adventures number 25. We like this one. Nice clean copy. You can't go wrong with this. Is this the first issue? I got to open it up and look. This might be the first issue. I don't remember. I know it's an early one. No, this is number 15. Yeah, it's not important then. Not even a very important artist. Epic Illustrated number 15 for Boris. Great cover. And that's December 1982. I think this was bi-monthly, so that would make this one number 16. But we're just going to call it as February 1983. April 1983. June 1983. April 1985. I can't tell who did the cover. I can't quite read it. I probably read them once and just put them away. There's no spine ticks or anything on these. June 1985. August 1985. October 1985. December 1985. A lot of Epic Illustrated in here. October 1982. That would be number 14. August 1982, that would be number 13. June 82, that would be number 12. April 1982, that would be 11. February 1982, that would be number 10. December 1981, number 9. Am I going to have them all? Will I go back to number 1? I don't know. October 1981, that's number 8. August 1981, look at that beautiful Barry Smith cover. It's number 7. June of 1981, Neil Adams cover, number 6. April 1981, number 5, Hildebrandt cover. Not sure who did this one. Winter 1980, number 4 maybe. Fall 1980, number 3. Summer of 1980, it's a Richard Corbin cover. Oh, well, I guess you can't have everything, can you? Spring 1980, Frank Frazetta cover, Epic Illustrated number 1. Even says premiere issue. Nice little run of Epic there. I don't know how many issues there are. Jackson, do you know off the top of your head how many issues there were? What do we got here? Marvel Preview, number 24. Paradox. Marvel Preview number 23, which is Bizarre Adventures 2. Marvel Preview presents Merlin. It's number 22. Okay, thank you. I'll have to see how many others I have. Who knows? I might have them all. I don't know. I really don't know what I've got. I'm working on getting them cataloged some year. Century, decade, something like that. Marvel Preview number 21, Moon Knight. Marvel Preview presents number 20, Bizarre Adventures, number 1. Well, this is the first part of Bizarre Adventures. Marvel Preview featuring Kull the Destroyer. This is number 19. Marvel Preview number 17, Black Mark. And Marvel Preview number 16, Masters of Terror. That's what I had in that box. Yeah, except American Flag was first comic, which I still don't have the first issue of. I have nearly the whole run, but I know I need number 1. Probably a few others as well. Turn this over. Let me show you what I put this in. I picked this box up. This is a Sterilite box, 16.5 by 13 by 12 and a quarter. And it's absolutely perfect for magazines. And that's what I keep most. Well, I have magazine boxes too. This is what I have most of my magazines in, boxes like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. Oh, okay. That explains why I don't have any Bizarre Adventures pre number 25. That would explain that. I always wondered about that. I never bothered looking it up, though. My big question for this is first comics. Are they worth collecting? And it all depends on your point of view. I mean, if you like artists like Howard Chaykin, Jeff Butler, Mike Mignola, Steve Rude, P.K. Craig Russell, Timothy Truman, Mike Grell, Frank Miller, Frank Brunner, even Norm Breyfogle. Yeah, you might want to consider collecting those, because all of those artists appear in First Comics, along with a lot of others. We're going to start off with Alter Ego, and this is the first issue. And the first issue you can pick up for about $9. Most of the First Comics are $10 or less. Most of them are in the $1 to $4 range. So it's a cheap thing to collect. Good stories in general. Always good art. I've never seen artwork in a First comic that I didn't like. So Alter Ego came out in 1986 by Ron Harris. He published 4 issues and then picked it up again in 2011 under a different company and published a 5th issue. So what Alter Ego was basically an homage to the golden age of comics, if you will. And next, of course, American Flag, Howard Chaykin. Howard Chaykin did the art. He did a lot of the stories too. Definitely worth getting. It's a 50-issue run. Went from 1983 to 1988. I do not have the first issue. I really didn't have time to go through my collection and pull out copies of first comics that I have because I was picking stuff up and getting it. I was flood proofing for 2 days. So what can you do? The next one is the Badger. Now this is issue number 5, which was the first issue of Badger that was featured in First Comics. The first 4 were published by Capital Comics, but Capital Comics was having a cash flow problem, so they sold off all of their comic properties to concentrate more on their distribution strip. Badger was one of those comics that got sold the first. It's kind of cool. So I'm showing the 5th issue, which was the first issue of published by First Comic. It went 66 additional issues. So it actually should have gone to like issue number 71. And you can pick this up for about $5 or $6 in really nice condition. What do we got next? The Chronicles of Korra, Michael Mignola. This is probably my favorite work by him. And it's also some of his earliest work. Of course, it isn't his first work. But yeah, it was definitely good. It's a 12-issue miniseries, worth reading. And like I said, I think that to me, that's some of his best work. Good job. I look forward to getting that email, Patrick. I don't have all of these. I'd like to get them. Let's see. What do we got next? Crossroads, Steve Rude. And it had a lot of different characters all together on it. Whisper and John Sable and a few others. Good read, as I remember. I did read that when it was a while back. That came out in 1988. And I remember I enjoyed it. That's all. I can't tell you anything about the story except that I enjoyed it. Of course, I was younger then, too. I picked it up around 1990 or 1991, so a couple years after it came out. Dreadstar number 27. The first 26 issues were published by Marvel Epic. And then after that, Jim Starlin took them to First Comics and published another 38. Yeah. He published another 38 of them. So it went from 1986 to 1991. And then, of course, before that, it was Marvel Epic. Good stuff. I enjoy it. Dynamo Joe by Doug Rice had 16 issues. This is the first issue. And you're talking about under $3 a piece. But as these artists get more and more better known and people start looking to collect the stuff that's less expensive because they're tired of paying the inflated prices for Marvel and DC, people are going to start looking for these. So you might pay $2 or $3 now, but in another couple of years, or maybe 10 years, they might be $10 or $20 a piece. You never know. I like it because it has that stupid cat. Uh, I gotta get rid of some of these so I can add more. Just a second. Let's go to the next one. P. Craig Russell. Now, the first 6 issues of Elric of Melnibone were published by PC Comics, and then he took the series to First. You can get the First did a compendium of the first 6 issues from PC. Now you can go and buy them from PC Comics. You'll only have to pay about $10 or $15 a piece for them. It's not too bad. It's terrible. The original PC Elrics are way higher priced. Totally worth it to me because I collect PC Comics. But you can get these $4 to $6, $15 for the whole run. About that. The original Elric of Melnibone First did do a graphic novel of that, of the first 6 issues. And you can pick that up for maybe $18 to $20. Might be worth it. E-Man. E-Man Comics, 1983 to 1985. There were 25 issues, all by Joe Staton. E-Man originally was in Comico. He was featured in Comico first, then Comico went and first picked up E-Man with Joe Staton. Pretty good stuff. Same thing with this next one, Evangeline, and this is not the Evangeline that came out later by somebody that we're not going to talk about. This is the original Evangeline, but the first 2 issues were published by Comico, and then Charlton published E-Man. Comico published First, I believe, or published Evangeline, I believe. Might have that wrong. Charlton might have published both. I don't have that in my notes. But this was from the second series, and it's got this beautiful cover by Ricardo. Where's my Viagran? Or Vilgren, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. Beautiful cover. Interior art by this guy too. Really nice stuff. These comics, you get them for $2. Under $2. Next one is a little more expensive. I've got to get it, actually. Let me dig it out here. Filmation's Ghostbusters. 4-issue miniseries. Not cheap. You're talking $10 for the first issue. Actually, you're talking anywhere from $5 to $10 for every single issue, depending on condition. They're not cheap. That's all there is to it. Yeah, Charlton had E-Man. We'll get to that. Whisper's a good title, but it's a W, and I'm only on the G's. Give me a break. And like I said, I have a copy of this, but I don't have all 4 of them. And I don't have all of the comics I'm showing you right now because I went online and I downloaded pictures of them so that I could do this show because I didn't have time to go look for any of mine. And they're probably buried anyway. Next up, one of my favorites. And I don't have this first issue. Grimjack, Timothy Truman. I love Timothy Truman's artwork. Now, he's one of those guys that This was his first major publication, was Grimjack. Before that, he did backup stories in Sergeant Rock. I had no idea, but I'm always happy to get first comics. You know that. Uh, Timothy Truman has done so much good stuff. When it comes to doing Westerns or war, he's at the top as far as I'm concerned. Definitely worth getting. And Grimjack was just an awesome read in my opinion. Got some here that, in addition to Timothy Truman doing Grimjack, Tom Sutton did some, Tom Mandrakes did some, and Flint Henry did some. And if you don't know who Flint Henry or Henry Flint was, Google him when you get a chance. He did a lot more stuff than you expect. And some of it's really, really good. The next one we've got coming up is Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon, Jewel in the Skull. That was the first one. Raphael Kayanin. $2 a piece, basically. Came out in 1986. So we're talking a comic book that's 40 years old or 39 years old. Most of these are late Bronze, early Copper Age, and definitely worth picking up, in my opinion. I don't have much else to say about it. It's another one by Michael Moorcock. It's related to Elric. What else can I say? Let me see what's next here. We've got, oh yeah, Mike Grell, John Sable freelance. 58 issues of Mike Grell goodness from 1983 to 1988. I'm pretty sure I have the first issue. Not going to swear to it. Cool. Well, if he does, I'll have to send you some comics to get signed. No, I don't care about signed comics. That's just me talking. Yeah, John Sable is good stuff. Patrick, I'm going to warn you right now, do not read an issue of John Sable. Well, at least not until I have them all, okay? Because if you read an issue, you're not going to want to part with them. Good story, good art. What can I say? Let's see what we've got coming up next. We've got Lone Wolf and Cub. The introduction is by Frank Miller, but so are the covers. Frank Miller did the covers for, I don't know, at least the first 40 or so issues. There were 49 of them published by First, and then I believe Dark Horse picked it up. Next up is one of my all-time favorites, and definitely worth getting. If you've never read this, it's definitely worth it. This is Nexus number 7, I believe. 74 issues were published by First Comics. The first 6 were published by Capitol Comics. Of course, they sold it to Mike Barron, Steve Rude. Awesome combination. Mike Barron, of course, is a really good writer, and Steve Rude as an artist is just, he's Steve Rude. What else do you need to say? I mean, pretty awesome. The first 6 issues are kind of expensive. I have some that are water damage that I'm going to be pressing out. And I might go ahead and remove the water stains out of them. I haven't decided yet. Good stuff. And the first issues, the first comics issues, you're talking $1 to $3 a piece in that price range. Not real expensive. Definitely worth getting, or definitely giving it a look at. I'm getting close to having them all, but I don't have them all yet. What do we got next? Shatter. Shatter is a unique comic. I mean, this is a Mike Sands cover. Good stuff. Shatter went 16 issues, and it was one of the earliest comics to have computer-generated art. So for that reason alone, it's kind of worth picking up. I mean, now they have comics that are done completely in AI, but back then, no. Let's see what we got next. We're getting close to the end here. Yeah, how can I forget? More Mike Grell goodness, Star Slayer. This is another one that the first 6 issues were published by PC Comics. So this is number 7. And again, 28 issues, Mike Grell goodness, from 1983 to 1985. In addition to the 6 that were first published under PC. I think I have all of these, but I'm not going to swear to them. I thought he did, because I remembered seeing him in some of those. But it's been so long since I read the John Sable comics that I don't remember. I read a lot of these when they came, within a couple of years of them coming out. So I had to include this one just because I like the cover. Team Yankee. Team Yankee was Rod Wiggum. It went 7 issues in 1989. And you pick them up for $2-3 a piece. You probably get the whole set of them for cheap, $15 plus shipping. Not from me, but you can probably get them for that. I don't have them all, or you might be able to get them from me too. What do we got? My favorite. I have more than one copy of Warp Comics #1, or Warp #1. Frank Bruner. It's just, who doesn't like Frank Bruner? Now, in addition to that, he didn't do all of the covers. He did like the first 10 covers. Then they had Jerry Bingham do covers, and Bill Willingham and Mike Gustovich. And they did covers also. But Warp is really a good comic. And yeah, everyone should have that Warp. Everyone should have at least the first 10. It went 19 issues, and at least half of, well, I showed a couple of them tonight. I showed like number 4 and 5 or something like that. But Frank Bruner art is just, it blows me away. I've always liked his stuff, even from the early 70s when I first saw it. All right, I guess it's time to add that one that Patrick wants to see so badly. Whisper. Whisper went 38 issues. And this is volume 2, 1986 to 1990. Del Barris, early Norm Breyfogle, and Neil Hansen did the art in them, or did the covers. Um, Interesting side note: if you are a Norm Breyfogle fan, you're going to want to get a copy of DC's New Talent Showcase number 11, because Pacer, the story Pacer in there, is Norm Breyfogle's first published comic work. And people thought I was crazy for picking those up. But New Talent Showcase number 11, Norm Breyfogle's first. Yeah, I definitely need some of those. I think you're going to get some money from me. Oh, and Richard Larson, Steve Epting, and Vince Curiano also were in Whisper. I don't remember what company published Whisper the first couple of issues, but I can find that out and let you know at a later date. So, are first comics worth collecting? In my opinion, yeah, they are. Most definitely, and I am. It kind of started with American Flag, and of course, John Sable Freelance. It started with those two, and it just kind of built from there. And then, you know, having comics from PC Comics and Capital Comics, and then moving into the first comics from there. But actually, I think the first, the very first comic that I picked up, which sounds kind of strange, but that's the way it is, was Nexus. So yeah, I was just, and then of course when I found out that Russell took Elric over to first, I had to get those. Then Grimjack, I'm a big Timothy Truman fan, so I had to have those. I have never collected Lone Wolf and Cub. I've read a few of them, just I couldn't get into it. I understand it's a really good story. I understand that Frank Miller did the covers on a lot of them, but I'm not the biggest Frank Miller fan in the world, so I don't care if I get those or not. They'd be nice to have, but they're not on my high, on my list of things that are highly important. I do want the 4 alter egos. I don't know if I'll pick up the 5th one or not, but I would like to have those first 4. I do want to get all of the Badger. I want to get all of the American Flag. I want to get Chronicles of Corum. Even though I'm not a huge Mignola fan, I recognize that a lot of people do like him. And I do have one issue with that, and it blew me away. Like I said, I think it was some of his best stuff. But that's just me. I mean, there comes a point when a comic artist goes so far into his own style that he's no longer relevant. He's no longer that good. And then there's a point where he goes so far into his own style, he becomes amazing. Now, First Comics also did some Classics Illustrated. But these weren't all the same Classics Illustrated. They were done by Gilbertson on Classics Illustrated. The first issue was The Raven and Other Poems by Guyan Wilson. Now, if you are a fan of Playboy, you probably have seen some of the Guyan Wilson cartoons in the 60s and 70s. So to have a whole comic done by him and a classic one of Edgar Allan Poe stuff, oh, yeah, sign me up. Number 2 was Great Expectations, and Rick Geary did the artwork for that. He did a good job. Through the Looking Glass, Kyle Baker. Moby Dick, Bill Sienkiewicz. mind blown. Hamlet, Tom Mandrake. The Count of Monte Cristo, Pat Boyette. Of course, Pat Boyette did all of those amazing Charlton covers for the Charlton horror stuff. Really good, underrated artist. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was the 8th one. John K. Snyder III did the artwork in that. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Mike Plug. Yes, the same Mike Plug that brought us Werewolf by Night and Monsters of Frankenstein. That Mike Plug. I need to get that so much. The Call of the Wild by Ricardo Viagran. Rip Van Winkle, Jeffrey Bush. The Island of Dr. Moreau was done by Jeffrey Potter. Wuthering Heights was done by Rick Geary. The Fall of the House of Usher was done by Jay Geldof. The Gift of the Magi and Other Stories, Gary Gianni, 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 Gianni. He also did A Christmas Carol. So he did number 15 and number 16. Number 17, Treasure Island, Pat Boyette again. The Devil's Dictionary and Other Works. Diane Wilson. Yeah, I'll buy that. The Secret Agent by John K. Snyder III, and I think I have a copy of that. Yeah. This is the only one I have. Pay attention, Patrick. If you see any of these, I need them all. There's 27 of them. Writer and artist. The Invisible Man by Kyle Baker. The Jungle Books, Jeffrey Bush. Robinson Crusoe by Bill Ray. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Dean Motter. Ivanhoe, painted by Ray Lago. The whole book is painted. My God. A lot of these names you're probably not familiar with because they didn't get the big exposure with Marvel and DC. They're amazing artists. Aesop's Fables, Eric Vincent, and The Jungle by Peter Cupper. Just good stuff. I look forward to getting every one of those and sitting down and reading them. Of course, I collect Classics Illustrated anyway, the originals, and I have a lot of duplicates and 4th and 7th and 9th and 12th prints and stuff like that. And I collect the Classics Illustrated Juniors, of course. And Marvel did some Classics Illustrated also. And I think there was a company that did some in digests. I'm thinking Dark Horse might have done some digest size, or maybe it was First. I don't know. But I definitely think First comics are worth collecting, especially if you're on a budget or you're just getting started or you just want something to put away for 20 years. See what happens without spending a lot of money. And when you're talking a couple, $2 to $3 a piece, yeah, why not? And all of it has really good artwork. I can't think of a one that doesn't have good art. And some of them, like Bill Mouse, does some artwork in some of them. And of course, he's great. I didn't list all of the First comics there are. Mostly what I did was the ones that have runs of 6 or more, with the exception of the first one that only had 4. But it's something that's worth buying. I think. Yeah, there you go. Patrick Murphy was buying American flag because he liked the art. Howard Chaykin is a good artist. You might not like his political views, you might not like some of the things he says, but that doesn't make him any less of an artist. And if you don't buy his stuff because you don't agree with him on a political standpoint, what's wrong with you? Don't look at him for politics, look for his art. Yeah. Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff for Marvel and DC also. Uh, but that American flag to me will always be like his magnum opus. That was his big thing that he did that was definitely worth getting into. If you want to see me go over more of the small press comics from the 80s and 70s, all you got to do is put it in there and I'll be glad to do it. Glad to see you can stop in. You might have to catch the whole thing on rerun as I'm getting ready to close it down. uh, like I said, first comics definitely should be in your top 10 of what they consider small press publishers. First Comics, Now Comics, Capital Comics, PC Comics. You should have all of those on your radar. When you see them for a good price, pick them up. A lot of this stuff that I just talked about, you can probably go to a convention and find in the 50 cent to $1 box. That's how little people think of it. But if you get into it, you start reading them, you're going to go, hey, this has got to be worth more than $1. Yeah, absolutely Pacific Comics. I will dig out my collection of Pacific Comics and show them. I'm still missing a couple, but I'll dig them out for next week. And I'll just, you know, instead of, oh, are they worth collecting? Because we know they're worth collecting, I'll just put down Showcase, PC Comics Showcase. I was reading the Now Green Hornets when they were coming out, and they were good for the first year or two, and then they just kind of went, eh. Uh, I'm looking to get some more of the Now Married with Children. I'm interested in getting those eventually. I'll probably eventually try to get all of the Now comics if I can afford it, or if I live that long. Not as young as I was yesterday. As far as like I said, as far as the river by me, it got to flood level, which was 22 feet. I usually don't have to worry about it until it hits about 30 or 31 feet. So I wasn't too concerned. But I didn't say it, but I might be interested in them. Eternity is good stuff too. I don't have a lot of the Eternity comics. I have some, but I don't have enough to really get into it. When I say some, I maybe a half a short box. Yeah, I am. I'm about 90 miles from Kerrville. Uh, it's a tragedy what happened there. But I was prepping. You know, I spent 2 days making sure anything that could be damaged by water was up high, just in case. But I really didn't want to see a flood 2 years in a row. That would have been bad. That would have been really bad. That would have been, I'm going to find a new place to live bad. The water's way down now. Let me check my other computer real quick. I can tell you what the water level is currently. It's currently at 7 feet. Yeah, 7.02 feet. So I don't have any trouble. Yeah, last year I lost a lot of my Flash Comics collection, and a lot of my other comics. DC Comics that start with the letter F. I lost a whole short box. Devastated because I had some older Flash in there. So, yeah, that hurt. But, it is what it is. Um, my tax liability for last year was zero, with a carryover for next year or for this next tax season. But I don't think I'm going to have to worry about it because I haven't made enough money this year to make a difference. Between my standard deduction and the deduction I get for being retired, over 65, which is another $6,000, I haven't made that much. I'm not going to pay tax. I probably won't even have to pay Social Security on that amount. So, and yes, I do end up having to pay Social Security on any money that I earn that's considered a profit, which I have to pay into it so that I can draw out of it. I understand that part. But once you start drawing out of it, why do you still have to pay in? I've never understood that. Yeah. And like I said, the river's down to about 7 foot. The highest it hit was 21.66 feet. So it was just under flood stage being 22 feet. But it did go over the road. So I couldn't go to Dollar General that day, but I didn't need to, so it wasn't a big deal. I like the old comics. I like new comics too, and if they weren't so expensive, I'd be buying them. But why do I want to pay $6 and $7 for a new comic when I can pay about $4 for something like that? $4 to $6 for something like that, or $2 for something like that. Yeah, you don't have to worry about me. I've lived through a lot worse than some floods. It's no big deal. Uh, I worry more about my cat's health, or the cat, and they're not even my cats. Okay, I just feed them, but I worry more about them than I do me. No, warp. That one I just showed. That's the first comic right there. It's one of the ones I was talking about. Frank Bruner artwork. Not Malibu. That's first. Malibu is the big comic. Is the big one. They published everything. Probably more than half of all the independent comics from the 80s and early 90s are from the 80s were published by Malibu. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about here just now was first comics and why we should consider getting them and why to me they're worth collecting. I'll go ahead and show that first issue of Warp again. That's the first issue. That's the first issue of Warp. Frank Bruner cover. Awesome stuff. Yeah, that's where the internet's nice. You can pick up a lot of that stuff. But Malibu did so many. God. And they had their own line, of course, but then they were publishing everybody. Uh, I'll do at some point in the future. I'll get a list of all the different companies that Malibu published and show a sample of what they did. Uh, and I'll go over some of the Malibu stuff with you, or on one of these streams at some point in the future. But next week is going to be DC Comics, and I'll show all of the ones that I have that I know where they are. Where they are. I have some PC Comics that I don't know where they are, but I know where most of them are. I have most of them in one box. It's comes right after Archie. I don't know. I have a weird filing system. Do not, do not forget about, I mean, if you're going to blow some bucks on 80s comics, buy some of the first stuff. American Flag, Nexus, John Sable Freelance, uh, Warp. I try to be organized, but it doesn't work. You know, I have I have 96 short boxes of DC comics, and those are the ones that are organized. In addition to that, I have a couple of long boxes of DC comics that need to go into those boxes. Yeah, that's primarily what I collect is DC, but I love all comics. I'm not. I'll read an Archie. I'll read DC. I'll read Marvel. Uh, Cerebus. I've been getting into Cerebus lately. It's good stuff. Uh, Casper, the Harvey stuff, Sad Sack. I read everything. I will read. These are the ones that I said that I was going to be pressing next. I've already read two of them. I will read all of these before I press them. Because what I'll do is I'll read it, then I'll clean it, and I'll put it in stack to be pressed. Absolutely, definitely. It's I've got most of them from number 22 on, or no, number 21 on. So it's first 20 that I'm going to have trouble finding. But I'll take reprints. I'm not proud. On Cerebus, and like for a Cerebus number one, I would take a second, third, fourth print, whatever. So figure I pressed what, over 600? I pressed 651 comics. I haven't read 651 comics because sometimes I'll press the same comic two or three times. Not literally the same comic, but the same issue two or three times. And so I don't read them again. If I like this one, I've got like 4 copies of this. I'm not going to read it 4 times. I read the first print. I don't need to read any of the others. I read the first one. And all of the Classics Illustrated Juniors are really, really good, and they've got good art. I was amazed. As a matter of fact, some of the covers were done by L.B. Cole, which is a really great Golden Age artist. And the Classics Illustrated Juniors are the stepping off point for a lot of the L.B. Cole collectors. You don't need to be. I have I decided when I hit 20,000 comics, I was going to cut back. Uh, and so that's when I started selling comics. And I'm up to about, I had a 20,000. I'm going to cut back. So I've cut back to about 28,000. I can't help it. I've been trying. What can you do? They just, you know, it's like Turok #1. You put it in a box. You don't put two of them together because you'll have 4, and then 8, and then 16, and then 32. They breed. I do collect Turok, Son of Stone, Gold Key. I collect Dell and Gold Key. I have a lot of them. I collect Tarzan, the Dell, Gold Key, and DC. I have all the Marvels. I just don't know where they are, but I do have them, or at least my inventory says I have them all. I don't have all the ones that were done by Dark Horse, and I'm not worried about getting them. I think I'm just going to try to finish the Dell Gold Key DC run, and then that's it. I'm not going to worry about any other Tarzans after that. I think that's going to be it for tonight. I've had a great time. That's what I've been missing. I've been missing a theme. I'm pointing up on my up here because it says Coffee with Chaos number 32. First comics are they worth collecting? I think it's actually number 33. I have to get my numbering worked correct. But yeah, yes, they're worth collecting. But like I said, I think this is actually number 33. I'll figure it out, and when I do, I'll let you know. I've been needing a theme this whole time, and that's all there is to it. And now that I know I'm going to have something to talk about, I can be a little bit prepared, just a little bit. I didn't even hit all of these notes. Let's see. Jeff Butler, the Badger. His first published comic was Badger #1. Let's see. Of course, I mentioned Tim Truman did some backup in Sergeant Rock. I mentioned that Norm Breyfogle, the New Talent Showcase #11, the story Pacer. That was his first comic. Frank Miller's first comic book. It was for Gold Key, Twilight Zone number 84. I bet you didn't know that. But I got a lot of prices on here, but nothing's over $10. Filmation's Ghostbuster, $5 to $10. The Shatter #1, it's about $9. Grimjack #1, you're looking at about $9. And those are based off of the last sale of a high grade copy on eBay. I think it's great. Get me that list. I want to see it. I'm definitely interested in some of them. I don't know what all I have, but if you can get me a list of what you have within the next week, I will go through and try to figure out what I have so I'll know what I need. And if I don't have time to do it, well, I'll just take them all. Yeah, I bet you're going to be looking for Gold Key Twilight Zone number 84 now, huh? Email just sent. Oh, okay. I'll go through it within the next couple of days and I'll get back with you, Patrick. But I'm definitely interested in some or all of them, I'm sure. But now that gives me an excuse to go through and get all of my first comics in one place, which would be a good thing. Yeah, I figured. But like I said, I think that's going to be it because my coffee is getting suspiciously low. It's down to about here, and it's getting cold, which is fine. I don't care. Hot coffee, cold coffee, it's all the same to me, as long as it's coffee. But it's getting to be about ice cream time. So I'm not going to sit here and eat ice cream in front of you. That wouldn't be nice. I'll see you next Wednesday. In the meantime, have yourself a great time, and I will see about getting out another. Uh, I'll see about getting another video on that Lois Lane comic that I've been slowly working on. And so there's some things I need to show you and prep on it, and I want to do that as soon as possible, which means I have to pull it out of the cold press where it's been sitting for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll do that. Take care, everybody. Make sure you get all your friends to watch my show, either live or later, and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. I don't care. Do whatever you want. If you do respond, if you do send me a comment, I respond to every comment in some way. In the meantime, take it easy, everybody. And if you want to help me out, there's always that thing that I forgot to put in. Buy me a cup of coffee, and I forgot to put it into the comment, into the thing. I'll add that into. I got to add that onto my little thing. You can't buy me a cup of coffee if I don't put the link down below, and I didn't put the link down below, so you can't do that. I'll have it in there next week. Have yourself a great time, and we'll be safe this weekend. If you're in Pennsylvania, please be careful. Do not, if there's water over the road, don't cross it. Your life is not worth it. And take that from somebody that's living in a flood area. See you next week. Bye.